Entrepreneur's Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, so the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneur's Enigma. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. I am your host, as always, Seth. I am here with Lori, who is the founder and chief bottle washer of elssus, LLC, a multidisciplinary communications practice or consultancy based out of the Rochester, New York area. She is local to Bucks County. We met through Christy Mitchell. Lori builds and grows company reputation, thereby increasing awareness, business results, and credibility, and is a non-traditional publicist working with fast-growing, high-impact, VC-backed startups and Global 500s. So, that mouthful. Let's bring Lori in. How's it going, Lori?
Thank you for having me.
You are in the Rochester area, right? I get that right.
You did get that right.
Just outside of the Great White North. Well, you can. It depends on the weather. You can be in the Great White North as well. You're just outside of Canada.
Yes. Not today, though.
Not today. Not today. You're in Rochester. So there you go. So tell me about this. You've had a journey. I mean, somehow you end up in Rochester from Bucks County. I mean, how do you end up in Rochester? I mean, it's great. It's a great area. I've been in Rochester. It's a great area, but it's a little far from Bucks County. Let's talk about your journey a little bit. Like, how'd you get started in all this?
Now, do you have a lot of Philly listeners that know what you're talking about?
Well, if they don't, they can look it up. It's called Google.
Okay.
Bucks County is literally just north of Philadelphia. It's in the county just north of Philadelphia County, because Philly's a contiguous city-county thingamajigger going on there. I think it's the only one that's actually, I think Philly, to get a little tangential here, I think Philly's the only city that is contiguous with the county. Chicago's in Cook County. New York's a bastardization of a lot of things. New York is, I think, it's their counties, their boroughs, their city. It's a lot of everything. And she's Googling.
Manhattan is in New York County.
It's in New York County, but it's part of the overall city.
But I was double checking. I knew New York County was Manhattan, and I knew Kings County was Brooklyn, but Bronx County is the Bronx, Queens County is Queens, and Richmond County is Staten Island.
Hey, the more you know.
How's that? You can nail Jeopardy.
And they're also boroughs, too. They're boroughs.
Yes.
So they felt like, New York felt like saying, let's use every kind of municipal government possible in our city. Let's be New York. Let's just do everything. So Philadelphia's like, hey, we got our county. We're a city. The city goes to the county line. All right, it's the same thing. Whatever. So Philly's a little bit more practical. I'm biased because I'm from Philly. I know you're from Philly. So we're a little bit biased, but
Well, I've got one foot in Philly, one foot in New York. So, they're.
We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show. Exactly. So, Lori, how did you end up in Rochester? Let's start off in the very beginning. How did you get into marketing, communications, and all this fun stuff?
All right. Very beginning, when I went to school in New Jersey, and when I was looking to go to study abroad, I had already missed the window by the time I was going to be a junior. So that wish never faded. So when I graduated, I found a program where I could live abroad.
Where'd you go?
I went to London.
Ooh.
Yep. And the travel bug truly hit me. But
it was in your bio. It says the longer bio. Should give me two bios. You've been an avid traveler, 30 plus countries.
Yeah.
Can you list them all?
Some of them twice. Yeah. Oh, do I list them all? I mean,
do you remember every single one, or is it sort of like?
No, I have some. I have some favorites, and.
What's your favorite? What's your all-time favorite?
I'm a little partial to Argentina, but I would also throw in Belgium and Croatia.
Belgium, chocolates.
Yeah, we could talk. This could be a whole separate podcast episode.
Yeah, we'll do a whole separate podcast. We'll just chat offline about that. What are your favorite places? I love Capri in Italy. Oh my God, I love that place.
But when I was in London, I was like hell bent on working on an ad agency. And so I, email, I'll date myself, but email was still pretty new. So I printed out resumes to all the big ad agencies in London. And
I remember that. I remember doing that. I did that. We're in the same age. So I remember the printed resume. I remember mailing those suckers to news outlets to get jobs. Oh, I remember that. Oh, it's painful.
And so while I was doing that, I picked up a couple of random jobs in London, but then the job that stuck is a good word. I'm working in a publishing firm in London. So that felt like, okay, this is like, it was very startup vibe. And yeah, it was pretty cool. And then when I came back after living abroad and traveling, I needed to find a job here.
You need to grow up in the United States now. It's like these are fun. These are fun. Now it's time to come back to reality. Oh, God.
It was awesome there. But I came back and I wound up starting to work for a company that was from the UK that was getting established in New York.
Well, that's perfect.
So their first day in the office was my first day. We went like furniture shopping and everything. So it was a healthcare.
You really started up with the startup. Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's fun.
And, we went. It was a healthcare communications firm, and because it was also a startup, there were 4 people in the office regularly. There was a lot of freelancers and consultants, but I got to do a lot more than I would have done had I started my career at larger agencies, which I ultimately went to, but I got exposed to so much more things. And I was still like so new to like working in New York and just like
New York is its own beast. New York and London are similar. They're both kind of fast-paced, kind of nutty. I mean, you have high parking
and I thrive on that. Like, I need that.
Yeah, high energy, exactly. But yeah, I mean,
I'm high energy and kind of nutty.
Yeah, there you go.
But I remember the CEO was coming over from London, and she's, I would love to get tea with you. And I was like, oh, great. And like, there was like a deli downstairs. And I was like, yeah, we could just go downstairs and like get tea. She's like, no, tea. Like
proper tea, biscuits. And...
I was like, oh,
you silly American. You silly American.
Well, and so then it was like, okay. But
there's tea places. There's high tea in New York, I'm sure.
Oh, there is. And yes, I found it, and we booked, and I think we went to the Plaza, and
went big.
Yeah, so much for my little deli, but yeah, so I worked there for quite a few years. I loved it. It was all healthcare, but it was a lot of quality of life and end of life care. And it was all outside the United States. So we were really just talking to doctors and physicians and opinion leaders. And my friends were working on like Nike and.
Are you in that? It was different, and it wasn't as sexy, I guess.
It wasn't sexy, and it was like I was in my early 20s, and I was sad. I was going to these conferences, and I was meeting these people who were basically dying, and so I changed gears and I moved to DDB, which is a big ad agency on Madison Avenue. And the joke was on me because I thought, main advertising agency, I'll work on lots of different things, which I did. But I was hired because of my pharma experience.
Oh, no.
So but that was more like your diabetes and heart disease and.
All right, so a little bit more interesting, a little bit more, I guess to say chronic. Than deadly.
I would say it was interesting all over, but it was less dire, I guess.
There you go.
I was there. I worked in biz dev for a couple of years. I also ran an account. And then I left and I, did not go far because I went to Rockefeller Center, which was a block away. And so
you like New York.
I do like New York. I know. I'm like breaking your heart.
You're a Philadelphian who likes New York. Wow. And there's a lot of us that like New York. I can't stand New York, but yeah.
And then, so I was at NBC. I worked there in
the NBC at the Peacock.
The Peacock. And the company that I worked for was recently acquired by NBC. So it was very startup-like within 30 Rock for this division.
Yeah.
And worked on marketing campaigns. So got to work on, brands across the board. Yeah. And then that travel bug came up again. And so I quit to take a sabbatical and I went to South America, as one does.
Of course. Everyone takes a sabbatical to South America. Love it.
Well, I wanted more than a 2-week vacation and I didn't want to wait till I was retired. So awesome. I left. And when I came back, I had set in motion like some freelance work. And then I started freelancing much longer than I planned to because I stopped looking for jobs because I was like, this is really fun. I can like pick my clients.
Yeah.
So it like started to and because I had a biz dev experience at DDB and I had startup experience, small company experience, it was all kind of meshing together. And then push came to shove and I wound up ultimately finding a role in Atlanta. And so my husband and I relocated.
Why does everyone end up in Atlanta in marketing? I know a lot of marketers end up in Atlanta for marketing.
There's a lot of big companies there.
That's probably what it is. And they're all on Peach Street.
They're
on Peach something.
So we got to Atlanta and I worked for a company called World 50, which brings together C-suite executives. Also a company that had been around 10 years, but had never had a director of marketing, which I was. Oh my God.
You like finding like the startup.
Entrepreneurial.
Oh, wow. You find this, they find you and wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I got laid off from there and we decided not to stay in Atlanta and came up here. Came up here. Well, I like warm weather over cold, which is ironic that I'm here, but
you're in Rochester.
Yeah. But we came up here, which was supposed to be temporary. And I started, picking up some, clients remote. And I was like, this could kind of be cool. Like working here. Canada. But I was still interviewing, I felt like I still needed big cities. So I was looking at Boston. I was looking at Philly. I was looking at DC.
Oh, so you lived in Philly a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. But then I was like, I think I'm sold on this. Like I can have my own company. And so, so I've been doing this since, on and off from 2012, but after the layoff was 2015. And then I applied for I made it official in 2018 and I applied for my LLC. So actually August of 2023 is 5.5 years officially.
Where the IRS can bill you.
Yes.
Well, well, they can bill you under your company name. And isn't it funny how the fastest thing to get from the IRS is not your refund, it's your EIN number? You press a button and the form spits out your EIN number. Like absolutely the fastest thing you ever get from the government is your pay us number.
That's so true.
So you've done the entrepreneur a lot. You've done the entrepreneur. You've done the travel. What is the best thing about being an entrepreneur? Now that you've done a little bit of everything, literally.
Well, I think a good example of this. So when I was at a full-time job, I always used to leave a Post-it on my computer at the end of the night. And, whatever time that was, because I worked at crazy places. So sometimes it might be, 5 p.m. or it might be 11:30 p.m. So, but I used to leave okay, these are the 5 things I have to get done tomorrow. And 9 times out of 10, no matter what time I came in, those 5 things were all thrown in the air and something else happened or whatever. And I thrived on that. I loved that, which is a little bit, nutty. But I think the thing too that I loved when I was at DDB, I kept getting asked, do you want to work on an account? Do you want to work on an account? And I was like, no, I love being in biz dev because I can work on anything from, toilet paper, which was actually a Georgia Pacific client in Atlanta, to tires. And, I remember going from, a business trip from Dallas and to see Nokia, all the way up to LL Bean in Maine. So like, I just love the, diversity of things I got to work on. So, so I think that was one of the things that was very desirable. The other was like not having to, kind of think about, what's next. Like, it was on me to figure that out, right? Like that BD
kind of
part of
exciting.
me. Yeah, that never, that doesn't go away. So, being able to, the adventure, the chase, whatever that is. So, that is, that's kind of fun. And I, now that I have a child, like the flexibility is great, so,
you can tell your clients, not today, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Well, where I just block out my calendar and don't make meetings at those times. So
it helps too. Exactly. So what keeps you up at night besides your child? What keeps you up at night? Like being a business owner.
Biz dev,
the thing that you love keeps you up at night. Yeah, I love it.
Well, no, it keeps me up because maybe like that's when I'm doing it. But
yeah, that's a good point.
But I think being able to keep all the balls in the air for different clients, because there's different phases of things, and because it's just me, it's really important to know exactly what is needing to be delivered, because I could be on 4 calls on a row and I need to change gears super fast, and
it's tough.
that's it's kind of fun.
It's fun, but it keeps you up at night, or it keeps you awake at night. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
Most important thing to carry with me all the time. I mean, I want to say passport, but is that what you're looking for?
Handy. That comes in handy. You never know when you're gonna like stumble into Canada. I guess you can kind of stumble into Canada from Rochester.
Say it again.
What is it? 20 minutes? I think you can stumble into Canada.
No, it's about an hour to the border.
Oh, so that's still pretty close. It's like it's from Bucks County to the Jersey Shore.
Exactly.
Only the Jersey Shore. Well, the Jersey Shore is like a different country too. Yeah. That's a reference. Now that's a reference for the Philadelphians. They understand down the shore is a different country, whereas Canada is probably less of a different country than the Jersey Shore. So we'll leave it at that.
Or even the fact that you're saying the Jersey down the shore versus at the beach.
Yeah, I know. Down the shore is definitely a Philadelphianism.
Yes.
And especially a lot of times it's not down the shore. Sometimes it's up. Sometimes it's due east. Sometimes it is down the shore. It depends on what beach you go to.
And that's the thing. Depending on where you are in New Jersey, some people say at the beach.
Do they? I think they still say down the shore if they're going up.
Well, if you live at the beach, you don't say down the shore.
Oh, yeah, let's go to the beach today. Yeah, or let's go. That makes logical sense actually.
Anyone that is not in that area is not going to understand these references.
So other than your passport, what do you need to carry with you all the time?
This is a stumper. I don't know.
Isn't it a good one? But it doesn't have to be a physical item. It could be metaphysical too.
A positive attitude.
I love it because you definitely have a positive attitude. I mean, you love biz dev. You're a go-getter. You're rah, 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 rah. I love it. High energy, high impact.
What do you bring all the time?
Oh, no, they're actually throwing it back at me. I would say my positive attitude, oftentimes my perseverance is a good one. I like that one too. I think we both have perseverance because you have to be an entrepreneur.
I have a former client turned friend that called me pleasantly persistent.
Oh, I like that. It's a positive negative. I love that.
It worked out well.
So, Lori, where can people find you online? Like, where do you hang out the most?
I would say LinkedIn and what was Twitter. So trying to find a new home for that.
God. Oh, he didn't even rebrand. He changed the logo file.
So I would say
what
for
an
now.
Idiot. I'm sorry. I'm going to go there, but what an idiot. Anyhow. So we'll put your LinkedIn into the show notes. We'll leave whatever.
And I've got, in advance of Twitter blowing up, I have a Threads account. I have a host account. What? Say it again.
What do you think of Threads? Let's start asking that.
I feel like there's still, I mean, it's still early, right? It's still practically a
Yeah.
beta, but I feel like there's potential.
There's definitely potential, and if it federates with the metaverse, or not the metaverse, it's already the metaverse. It's already part of Meta, but if it federates with the Fediverse, Mastodon and all those other things. For those that let them play in the sandbox, a lot of them are saying no Meta, and I'm like, okay, guys, calm down. We don't know what it's gonna happen. It could get interesting, and I'm excited to see what's gonna happen with that. So
it's going to be interesting, and especially because for what I do anyway, like most of my journalists were on Twitter, and so finding them, they're there. But that was always my research. My research.
Hunt them down again, exactly. So Lori, this has been so much fun.
Likewise.
And we'll see everyone next time.
Thank you.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.